Hi everyone. So we are coming out with another new video after a gap of a couple of months. So it has been a long time since we have come out with another content over YouTube channel. So let me begin this video by introducing myself for especially the viewers who might be watching our video for the first time. This is Ashnat Kothari here. I'm a qualified investment actuary. I have been teaching actuarial science professionally for the last 7.5 years. Along with that, I have close to 6 years of work experience in actuarial domain as well, which involves 2 years in property and casualty and the remaining 4 years in investment modeling as well as investment advisory. With me, we have Gunjan as well. So there are two of us in Fanatics who train students in the various different papers as well as providing them relevant guidance with respect to their actuarial career. So Gunjan is also a qualified associate actuary. She has cleared around 14 papers, is left with just one paper, and hopefully she'll be done with that in this sitting as well. So this is a brief introduction regarding me as well as my colleague at Fanatics. So before we start with the solution discussion, let me first give you all updates regarding the new batches for the IEI Me 2024 session as well as IFoA April 2024 session. We would be starting with our new batches on 8th of October 2023 itself. So, classes are available in live offline mode in Calcutta, live online mode, as well as pre-recorded lectures. So, location is not at all a barrier. In whichever part of the country or world you are, if you want to learn, you can definitely enroll with us and, use our educational content. We have students from almost all the states in India, as well as we have actual learners from 30 different countries around the world. So this was with respect to the batches. Keep in mind, all of you have access to live online, live offline, as well as pre-recorded content. There are no additional charges for getting access to the different mode. Another important update was, something probably which will make a lot of you happy, especially ones who are based out of Calcutta. In the last session, many of you had requested, if you can come to the center and, you can study there separately since you all find it difficult to study, let's say in your college or at your PG, because the environment does not allow it. So starting from this session, our center would remain open where students can come, stay there, study there, interact with other peers who are preparing for the same papers. I hope this is something which will genuinely help you all a lot in your preparation as you would be in more direct touch with your peers who are, preparing for the same paper and you can leverage out of their knowledge as well. So this was one important update which I had to share with you all. As for the frequency of our classes for the next batch, given the festivities in the month of October and November, as well as many colleges having their semester and examinations in the month of November, frequency would be usually 1 to 2 classes per week in the month of October and November on average. Starting from December, the frequency will shoot up for let's say 4 to 6 classes a week, and that is gonna stay till January. Again, this might vary paper to paper, but for the core CM and CS papers, this is how it's gonna be there. That's what we have planned currently. This would also allow the students who are appearing from IEI who have their examinations in the month of November, that when they come back in the last week of November and December, they would not have missed a lot of content in the live classes, which earlier they were doing so. So this is gonna be a win-win situation for all of them. You all can enjoy your festivities because the pressure in our classes will not that be high in October and November, as well as those who are appearing from II. Once you come back in last week of November and December, you would not have missed much content, and you can be at par, study with your peers, be at the same pace, and let's say by the end of December you should be at par with your IFoA peers as well. So this was with respect to the frequency of classes. We firmly believe in starting as soon as possible and completing the syllabus well ahead in time. So we do intend to complete the syllabus latest by February end, and we are targeting to complete, let's say, by mid-Feb, so that ones who are appearing from IFoA have at least around 6 to 8 weeks to revise, appear for past your papers under exam conditions, mark yourself, analyze your mistakes, and work towards it. And ones who are gonna appear from II, you're gonna have around, let's say, 10 to 12 weeks for same. Since we firmly believe that starting early and staying regular is extremely important from preparation point of view, and we want to provide more incentive to our students to follow this methodology. It has worked for me very well. It has worked for a lot of our students pretty much well, especially ones who have got caught up in difficult circumstances due to academics, personal events, or so on, they have realized if they start early, they have a lot of buffer time. And this helps them to go ahead with their original plan to sit for whatever papers they have determined, instead of having to change the plans because of certain other health issues, personal issues, certain other events coming up. So to further incentivize our students to start preparing early, we are coming up with early bird offers. So whoever is enrolling with us before 30th September 2023, we are gonna offer certain flat reduction in your fees. Do keep in mind we have a single live batch only for each paper, each session, and admissions are solely on first come, first serve basis. So these early bird offers will also be available on a first come, first serve basis. It could be that you're enrolling before 30th September, let's say 29th, 30th September, but if you have already filled our batches, in that case, it would not be eligible. Keep in mind DTH classes or recorded lectures, there is no limit on that. Any one of you can join at any stage of time, but ones who want to experience the full services we provide, especially the live classes, doubt clearing, we would strongly suggest for you all to join as early as possible. And we hope that you do join us as soon as you would, as soon as you can, and you have a meaningful, impactful, and wonderful learning experience with us. Also keep in mind that some of you always have this in mind, just now we have given the exams, why start so early, let's wait for a couple of weeks or for the results. So once we have appeared for, let's say, CM1 paper, which was the first set of exams, your results will be out around 12 weeks. It does not make sense to me to absolutely waste those 12 weeks, do nothing. Instead of that, what you should do is start your preparation immediately. And then obviously, later on, basis the results of preparation, you can take a call on, which papers you want to give. We have had students who are preparing and clearing 3 to 4 exams in a single term. Some of these are working as well. And remember, when you're working, it becomes extremely challenged. When you're at college, you have more liberty of time, you can continue with the way you want to prepare. So I don't see any harm in you all starting early. Obviously, breaks are needed in life. It's not about just clearing exams. But if you are into actuarial, you want to make a career out of it, you want to really stand out and be among the best. Starting early is does not have any issues. Obviously, you wanna have to put effort, and there is a trade-off whether you just want to enjoy, do nothing qualitative with respect to your actual thing. So that's a trade-off you'll obviously have to make. Other than that, I don't see any harm. It's better that you get done with your exams as quickly as you can. Obviously, not neglecting other things, but just keeping all other factors constant. You just preparing for one paper for last 2 3 months instead of preparing for multiple papers using full 6 months. It's really gonna help you in the larger scheme of things as well as in the long term. In my case, also, I used to start immediately post giving my exams. Obviously, I enjoyed a lot in preparing for actual exams. I realize some of you might not enjoy that much, so you would want to start a bit late, which is fine, but you should not wait for the results to come because that is absolutely wastage of time. April session is a longer one. Do utilize it to the fullest. I mean, most of you, especially ones who are not working, can easily prepare for 2 papers, if not 2 full papers. Let's say one paper from CM and CS, one paper from CV. Exam format is also scheduled to get changed from the April term. Again, clarity on that would come from IFoA in the month of November. So definitely use this time. In the long term, you're really gonna thank yourself that yes, you took the effort, you did study for multiple subjects. Obviously, it's gonna take more of your time right now, but it's something which is gonna reward you a lot in the long term. So preparation, I feel, never goes for waste. Even if you do not clear the paper, you do not complete your journey of clearing all actual exams, you stop it midway, your preparation never goes for waste. And if you start early, you cannot, you can devote time to understand what things are, not just study for the sake of it to clear exams. I understand that is one objective, very important objective. But the larger thing is you understand the concepts very well, you're very strong conceptually, and you have the ability to apply it in real life as well, not just in academia, but in several day-to-day decision makings, be it your investments, be it your business and all. I do feel that, whatever things we study, there's always a place where we could apply it, certain traditional ways, certain non-traditional ways. So if you're starting early, you have the time to explore that. If you start late, if you're not studying regularly, I mean, after a point of time, you would be just focused on, studying, practicing questions with the purpose of clearing exams, which is fine. But again, there is something better, on which we can do. So yes, that's the suggestion from my side. Do start early and stay regular, and Very simple thing, but extremely productive when it comes to giving the much desired output in the form of academic success. Indicative solutions for CM1 paper A. Let me share my screen with you all. Now coming to it, first thing which a lot of you have in mind regarding how was CM1 paper A from IFoA September 2023 session is with respect to its difficulty. So yes, paper A was relatively more difficult, more lengthier as compared to what was there in the last session. Last session, in my understanding, was one of the easiest paper A. Pass marks had also shot up. If my memory is correct, it was probably 62. So basis the inputs provided by students for how the exams went for CM1 A, CM1 B, looking at the papers, obviously we expect the pass marks to be slightly lower. If you want us a range, it should be let's say anything around 57 plus minus 3 marks with a slight bias towards a lower end only, something around 57 itself. 60 is something which looks a bit odd given how the paper has been. But again, we would know this only once IFA comes out with their results. So this was regarding the difficulty. Uh, as for the release of paper B videos, we're not sure whether we would be in a position to do that as well because there are other prior commitments which we have. In case we do, we would be able to do so probably in the first 2 weeks of October. But nonetheless, for you all, through paper A, you will get a fair idea regarding how much you're going to score. And given that it constitutes 70% of the weightage, you would be in a fair idea to see, whether you are in a position to clear the exam, you're short feeling, or, it's somewhat a bit dicey, and you can plan for your actual exams accordingly. So, do keep in mind that there could be certain calculation mistakes. Do let us know through the comments section in case you encounter any sort of mistakes. We'll take a look into it, and in case we find merit in it, we'll let you know through the comments section itself. So make sure while you're watching this particular video, take a look at the comments section. We would be pinning the comment with any sort of rectifications in case we come up with them in future. So let's quickly go through the solutions. The first question, these are the answers: A bar 50, A50, A bar 50. I was taking a look at certain scripts of students, and part C, I don't know, for some reason many of them made mistakes. I thought this to be a fairly straightforward part. A common mistake was using something like A bar 50 is approximately 1 plus I to the power 0.5 into A50, which is something applicable only for assurance, not for annuity. So this is for the question 1. Question 2 was theoretical in nature, so I'm skipping that. Moving forward to question 3. First, it was, the definition in words for 5 deferred QX51. Then it was the calculation. It's coming out to be 0.020624. Now, keep in mind the final answer. You can round it off to 6 decimal places quoted. You could round it off to smaller as well. Best purpose, you could keep all these values in its complete way. When you are dealing with monetary amounts, you could round it off till 2 decimal places, or if you're working with very large monetary amounts, you could even round it off to the nearest integer value as well. So question 1, 3 were fairly straightforward. Question number 4, where we need to find the dependent probabilities. Now I was taking a look at certain of the scripts, and you had misinterpreted 15% to be mortality rate, 10% to be surrender rate. You had to see the the linings, I will say, in the question. So over here, if you'll see independent mortality rate, it's coming from AM92 ultimate only. So we need to refer to the AM92 tables. Independent surrender rates for first year it's 15%, for second year it's 10%. So again, this question, not a lot of you performed as well as I would have really expected to be, given it was fairly straightforward. So these are the various values and the way they have been computed. So these are the final set of answers. Next was question 5. This was again one of those questions which was pretty well answered by most of the students. So the first 6, 7 questions were fairly straightforward. The last 3, 4 questions were the more lengthier one. I will say the more difficult in the sense that it really irritates you, to go about performing so many calculations. Even one of them you get wrong, we need to redo it again. And even at this stage, sometimes I feel very irritated to perform certain calculations, when we'll go through question 8, question 11. I mean, yeah, it's sometimes very irritating to, perform so many calculations and you get one of them wrong, you need to kind of redo the entire part again. So this is the equation. The answer which I'm getting out to be is 3645.64. Next question 6. This was also a fairly straightforward one. Just one thing was that the increases are happening continuously. The rate is 2.5% per annum. So this is my starting step. I'm trying to find the EPV at, after 10 years first. And then finally, when I need to find the EPV at 0, that is at age 50, I need to simply multiply the present value with its discounting factor. So the answer which I'm getting out is 50,868.47. Again, please keep in mind if you find any errors in calculations, first I'll advise you might just redo it, just take a look at it. And in case you still feel that the solutions we have discussed, there is some sort of error in certain step or calculation error, please feel free to, let us know to the comments section so that we can take a look into it and rectify it so that others are looking at the correct solutions and they can get an idea regarding what ideal marks they would get. Again, this entire exercise of coming up with these videos is it helps us in the form. We remain in constant touch. We have each paper coming from the last 3 years. Solutions are available on YouTube channel, so students when revising or in the last stages can directly refer to their videos. And obviously the more short term emphasis is a lot of you tend to wait for the results to come out, and that is absolutely not the correct thing in my head. So in your case, once we're setting for CM1, your results will be out sometime in first week of December. That's as good as 3 months. So waiting for the results, not doing anything does not make sense. So through this video, hopefully you will have an idea regarding what marks you're gonna get, and then you can accordingly decide the number of exams, the combination of exams which you should start preparing for. Obviously, once results are out, at that stage you need to see how to go about a paper selection, and ultimately when you're booking exams, in this case sometime in the month of February or so, you can take a proper understanding where your preparation is, which exams you need to finally set. But you should definitely start with the preparation. Some of them say, let's take a break, life is not about exams. Absolutely, life is not about exams. There is a lot of things beyond that as well. But the idea is that the earlier you start, it's about regularity, consistency. I am a firm believer in developing good habits. So studying, if you're into actuarial, you need to devote a large chunk of your life towards clearing exams. So why not get done with it? Especially if you do not enjoy it, and still if you want to pursue it, you should ideally get done with it as soon as possible. So there is no harm in obviously being prepared well starting early. It gives you the cushion later on, so that anything else comes up, something uncertain, random, which obviously would at some stage of your life, you have some cushion. And many students learn it the hard way. They come up later and say, "Bhaiya, also you were correct with it. Should have listened to you." So, why not leverage their learnings and, start right from the outset? I mean, it's gonna only help you. At least I do have done that for most of my actual exams, leaving last few of them, which, were in a difficult spot as I was juggling between many things on the work front, teaching front, as well as papers front. But apart from that, all these initial core technical papers, I have almost started it preparing, right after giving my exam in the next 1 day or 2 days. Obviously, I enjoyed studying, so for me it was not a struggle. But even for the papers I did struggle, I didn't enjoy. I did nonetheless started as soon as I could. Next question number 7. Again, a direct question, had a lot of calculations, but a lot of them did struggle. So here is a look at it. This is the present value, then it's PV dash. Now, keep in mind what I've done is that if you are a part of our Telegram channel or if you're studying from us, I have shared the formula or the general formula for summation of an arithmetic geometric progression. I have used that itself in this particular line. Keep in mind you could use an increasing assurance annuity factor as well. Or sorry, increasing annuity factor, not assurance, to calculate this. Either way would give you the same result. So finally, what was I was getting as was 11.72. Some of them did the mistake. You all just calculated PV dash, you all calculated volatility. So it was duration which was needed. So I'm getting it to be 11.72. Question number 8, a very irritating question. I will see a lot of calculations. The moment there is increasing term assurance factor, you really need to calculate it. It just takes a little bit more time compared to other terms. So this is the equation. Most of the scripts I checked, I was not getting the answer same as mine. I had to, redo my calculations twice, thrice just to see whether I'm performing it correctly or not. And as you will see, once I realized I was getting a wrong value for IA 4515. I still haven't got any script, which has matched my answer. Taken a look at probably 10 scripts or so. Quite a few of them have not attempted it. Quite a few of them have just given the equations and some of them have got it wrong. Another one issue over here was in question number 8. It's written that the sum assured is payable on maturity at age 60 exact, and it's a 15-year. So the current age is 45. A few of you took the current age to be 60. This is the age at maturity. So the current age is 45. So this was another mistake which I did see in a couple of scripts. So I was getting premium to be as 3735.69. Part 2 calculation of reserves. So these are the intermediate workings. Always suggest you all, whatever assurance annuity factors you're calculating or taking from tables, write it down. It just helps you, especially in case you get something wrong, which more often than not, most of us would be getting. Even if in case I am doing it, it's very natural sometimes, to get something wrong. You might just press a wrong button in a calculator, might not observe it, take a look at the wrong interest rate values. That's a very common mistake. So what this help is you can recheck when revising if you have the time and then see which part is wrong. If you do everything directly on calculator, you lose the audit trail. You need to perform everything over again in case there is issue with any one formula. This ensures you do not have to recalculate all of them again and again. So I was getting the reserves to be 18,813. Uh, Next part, question 9. This was probably well answered by most of them. Part A, 14.16. Part B, 15.15. Part C, this is the present value. D was if the interest earned on reserves was more than 4%, less than 8%, what would have happened? The present value would have increased. If you're using a larger value for interest earned on reserves, this would basically lead to us earning a higher amount on reserves, which we're holding at time zero. And therefore, you know, you could think in this way, whatever reserves you're holding today, it will earn a larger amount of interest. Alternatively, your cash flows would be affected less because you need to hold lower reserves because you're earning more amount on the reserves, and therefore the negative cash flows would reduce. So all in all, the present value should increase if we are having a higher interest being earned on reserves. You could, mathematically calculate and check as well. In case you cannot decipher this, you have time. Take anything, let's say 5%, 6%, and calculate, and that will help you towards the direction of the answer. Question number 10, again, this was a pretty well answered question among most of you. Pretty straightforward, I will say. So this is my expression e to the power 0.16 minus 0.07t. In part 2, we can see that a 0,8 is 1.49. So therefore, this is less than 2. So it's going to take us more than 8 years for the investment to double. Then how much time it will take? Now we know that t is greater than 8. So we can use the expression for vt when t is greater than 8. Equating this, I was getting this to be 12.188 years. Again, a couple of you did mistakes in part 2, A and B. This is part C over here, the real rate. So I was getting out to be 3.4195%. Moving forward to the last question, which again was not that well answered by many of you. It required again a lot of calculations, multiple interest rate coming in. So yeah, this is there in between. I calculated this using Excel as well. And I was getting answer as 31,246.42, I guess, and I was pretty happy that I did get it right. So you all could obviously need to write these steps for the calculation part, or just to cross check your answer. You could obviously use Excel as well. The question had explicitly mentioned to use annuity notations or annuity factors wherever applicable. So you need to give the equation, you need to give these values. If you use directly from Excel, you might not get full marks. Again, you will have to check the examiner report whether they are awarding marks in case you're not calculating appropriate annuity factors. Part 2, loan outstanding after 5 months. So one of the scripts I saw, they took months, they took years instead of months. Again, a very bad, silly mistake. Nonetheless, it happens going forward, not for this exam, for other exam. You could keep in mind these mistakes. You really don't get the time to revise. So while reading the question, whenever you write something on paper or you type it, just see, how much, what you're writing, whether it is consistent with the details given in the question or not. This obviously increases the total amount of time, but it ensures that you are minimizing the mistakes you are making. And in the long run, that's a better practice. So the interest portion is coming out to be 227.41, and the capital repaid, which I was getting, was 189.26. So I hope that this video was helpful to all of you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel so that you are updated regarding all the latest content we release, and do share it with your other friends as well who have sat for this particular exam. And again, once you are looking to study from us, get high quality educational content, have proper doubt clearing, study in the right mindset, as well as get unbiased guidance, do join us as soon as you can so that you have a meaningful, impactful, and wonderful learning experience with us. Thank you once again.